Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslock talking about reciprocity.com, the sharing economy proofreading platform that I am trying to build. The E is spelt with a 3. And in this particular video, I really wanted to talk about choosing your strategy as a small business or a startup, whether you should do a broad strategy or a focus strategy. I'm going to go into what do I mean by a broad strategy or a focus strategy, then get into possible suggestions of why you might choose one or the other, and then finally sort of narrow in and talk about sort of things specifically for startups and small businesses, right? So I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship at a large state institution in Florida. You can look me up, everybody who want to. And this is stuff that we study. This is builds on. So there's a big, large theoretical literature. I'm just going to sort of reference them. And I know this is probably going to be a little bit for those of you who do sort of study this area. It might be a review. Maybe I'm going to get things wrong, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's totally fine. Just kind of give you a primer or primer on what do I mean by that. So the first set of theories is Michael Porter. He talks about sort of the generic strategies. You can look up the stuff that he does. He's at Harvard Business School. He does some really cool things. And as well as population ecology literature. There's Michael Hannon, Carroll at Stanford, and there's a couple of there's actually a lot of people that are doing population ecology stuff. So anyways, I wanted to get into what do I mean by a focus or broad strategy, okay? So a broad strategy, I'm going to start off with, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to start off with a focus strategy. It's really, really narrow, right? So you're serving a very narrow market niche, and you generally try to do that. And you try to do that and serve those particular individuals very, very well, right? So it might be, and sometimes we think of this, and it's sometimes referred to in population ecology, again, is a specialist strategy where you are serving one particular small, narrow segment of the population, one niche. That's a very small niche of that, and you're doing that very well. You're doing it much better than anybody else is doing. So it's extremely narrow, and you're solving and you're helping resolve the unmet needs of that particular small, narrow set of customers, right? A broad strategy, in contrast, is much more you're serving a much broader, larger audience. This is sometimes called a generalist strategy, particularly in the population ecology literature, where you're looking at all of these different, you're trying to serve a much larger audience. What the problem is, or what's going to happen is you're going to have that broader audience. While you can serve a large audience, they're going to have a lot more unmet needs with the product that you have. So you're trying to serve many people. Because you're serving many people, you're not specifically narrowing down on one subset, and that one subset is always going to have something that's unique to them that they can't necessarily address with the thing that you have, right? With a generalist strategy. So that is the issue, and that's what I really want to get into, is which one should you choose? You might often think about, well, I'm a lawn mowing business. I love thinking about lawn mowing businesses because people get extremely rich over that, and a lot of people need lawn mowing and snow shoveling done, depending on what area you are, and it's an easy one to get into. So a lot of people need that stuff done, right? So you can either think of, okay, let's do snow shoveling, right? So you're in Michigan, for example, and you need snow shoveling done. It's the winter time. So you specialize as being the best snow shoveling business available, right? You are the snow shoveling business available. So what does that do, right? So that allows you, people will know that you are the plow king, right? It's a Simpsons reference. People will know that you're the plow king, but you can only do that for 4 months of the year. So you're exposed to more risks and uncertainties, things that change over time, seasonality. You're also exposed to more changes in preferences, for example. So, for example, customers, all of a sudden, the customers that you're serving, they don't like what you're serving for whatever reason. All of a sudden, you're really exposed to that thing, right? That particular risk. Whereas a broad strategy, you can think of a broad strategy as you are going to be a generic sort of lawn care and yard specialist, right? So that means that you do absolutely everything, right? So you're a handy person, right? So you're going and you are cleaning up the leaves, you are mowing the lawn, you are getting out there and snow shoveling, you're doing cutting down trees, you're an arborist, you're all this kind of stuff that you do, and you're sort of generalizing across that. Well, that allows you to sort of smooth the fluctuations over time, right? So maybe in the wintertime you can you can shovel some snow, right? And you can do a good job of that. In the summertime, you can cut down trees, you can trim shrubs, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you do a little bit of patio work at the same time, and you put down nice patio stones and that kind of stuff. The trouble is with that is that you are not going to get well known for that particular thing that you are doing, right? So you're sort of all over the place. And it's a common thing that we often think about. It's a common thing that people tend to do when they start small businesses is they just try to do like a handy person. They just try to do everything. And that is probably when you're starting a business, when you have a small business, you're a startup, Silicon Valley startup, for example, that's probably the wrong thing that you should be doing. So often they might do a Silicon Valley startup, like a software company. They might start getting sort of persuaded to do consulting services, right? So they're doing things on the side. They're doing all these little gigs as well as trying to do the thing that they're doing. Well, the trouble is that thing that you're doing is going to get neglected. You only have a certain amount of resources available. You have a certain number of managerial resources available. So you're going to limit the attention that you have, cognitive abilities. I mean, you can't work 24/7, right? People are going to suggest that, well, you should be working 24/7. You're an entrepreneur. But, that's just garbage. You can't do that. You're going to run out of the amount of time that you have. Pretty soon, one part of your life is going to get neglected. So you have to make that decision to focus, and I'd highly suggest that you focus as long as you possibly can to as degree as you can. There is huge benefits to focusing and getting specialized in a particular area. I mean, that's why doctors get paid a lot. That's why surgeons get paid a lot. They focus for a long, long time. And that's what you should be doing, is focusing as much as you can, learning and developing a particular skill. Then what you can do, once you focus and you understand how this works and you're solving the niche or the unmet needs of that really small audience, then what you can do is figure out the systems at play to serve that one small market audience, right? And then you can generalize the system that you've created and apply it to another market niche and apply it to another market niche until it becomes replicated over time. That's how large companies will get bigger and bigger and better, right? Is they have a system at play and they understand how that works, and then they not only have the system, but they have resources available, right? Financial resources or whatever it is. Maybe they have contacts, all that kind of stuff, personal contacts that allow them to sort of move from one area to the other. They don't do that. You don't get that until you've become a specialist in one particular area and it starts growing. And how that happens is that you start getting pulled in different directions. People will start to ask to pull you in different directions. And I'd highly, highly suggest for you to refuse as many of those as possible until you get to the point where you're like, hell yeah, I really want to do this particular thing. This is going to be amazing. And then you can jump into that and use that system that you learned over here and apply it over there, right? And that's what you want to do along as you go, as you're constantly thinking about, how can I specialize? How can I make sure your goal as the entrepreneur, as a startup, as a small business is just to focus as long as you possibly can until you start getting pulled in another direction. And the reason why you get pulled, it's a strategic choice. And you are super excited to get pulled in that direction. It's not because of whatever reason, but what you should be doing is just focusing as long as you possibly can. And serving that market need, the unmet market need, as much as you possibly can in a very narrow audience. And you just do that over and over and over again until you feel that it's getting saturated, and then you start transferring to other areas. So if you like this video, do the old ding ding, right? If you don't like it at all, that's fine as well. Move on to another video. If you do like the videos too, you can watch the old ones and leave a comment and all that kind of jazz. If you want to help out with the reciprocity project, the E is spelled with a 3. You can check that out. It's a sharing economy proofreading platform that I'm trying to build to help out, not only provide a great service, I think it's a need, unmet need that's available, and as well as to help out graduate students, because that's my end goal with this, is to help out graduate students to hopefully use profits generated from it to give scholarships and stuff like that in behavioral science. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. Take care. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.